Once your deployments become larger, you probably want to take a look at extract piece of code and put them into separate module files. So for example, a module that does your networking, or that does a specific AVD thing, or maybe around template image management or anything like that. That's the concept of modules, and let me show you how that works. The first thing I do here is actually I change the target scope. So you might be aware that by default, the target scope of an Azure deployment is always a single resource group, which sometimes makes sense, but in most cases, you probably want to deploy resources into multiple resource groups at the same time. The thing you do here is change the target scope, which does allow you to do that exact thing. So then I have the concept of modules, and the first thing I do here is actually declare a resource, which is a resource group that I'm going to use. And it's also conditional, so I'm only going to create it if a certain condition is true, and in this case, it's a parameter that I can pass towards this template. But then I get into the module concept. So I use the keyword module, followed by, again, a symbolic name, and then followed by another Bicep file, which is on my local file system. Basically, what I'm saying to the Bicep engine is every resource that is declared inside this Bicep template, deploy it inside this scope. And the scope, as you can see, is that symbolic name referring back to the resource group that I declared before. And I'm passing it a couple of parameters as well. So in this case, it's a module to create a VNet. If I would right-click this here, and I would say something like peek, and peek into the definition, we can see that, yes, this is in fact creating a VNet and a subnet as well. So that is local modules. That is ideal if I am the only one developing this module. But what if I want to share it within my team or within my company, for example? That is where the concept of an ACR, or an Azure Container Registry, also comes in. So an ACR is an object inside Azure, and to that object you can push a module to it, which then allows you to reuse it and also share it with others as well. So same thing, I use the keyword module, followed by a symbolic name, and then I'm using BR, and then the full path towards that location inside my Azure subscription with the version name here as well. So then same thing, I provided a name, I provided a scope, and I passed it a couple of parameters. The third one is a little bit different and also a little bit newer, which is Azure Verfied Modules. So these are not modules that you create and you own, but these are managed and maintained by Microsoft FTEs themselves. So these are read-only as a result, but they're also based on the well-architected framework and secure by default and following best practices as well. There are different types. There are resource modules that only deploy a single resource. There are pattern modules that deploy larger deployments as well. But this is the way to use it. So you do br/public, and I'm pointing to a specific module that you want to use, in this case for the creation of, again, an Azure Virtual Desktop host pool. So this is a module that Microsoft also supports from Microsoft support side as well. So it's important to know.